From homeless to millionaire. The journey of a black man inspired by Elon Musk and Donald Trump. Ethan Marshall's name was on every billboard lighting up New York City's skyline. But nowhere in those glowing letters did you see the shadows behind his climb. Nobody whispered about the nights he spent broke, the eerie silence of cold streets, or the woman he once loved, now wrapped in tattered clothes, who reappeared like a ghost with a secret buried deep. How did a man go from sleeping on subway benches to owning a tech empire worth billions? It wasn't magic, it wasn't luck, it was fire, raw, relentless, inspired by the audacity of Elon Musk and the ruthless spirit of Donald Trump. Ethan tore through obstacles, climbed skyscrapers of power, never looking back. But now, the past was crashing into his glossy future like a freight train. One late evening, as Ethan stared out from his penthouse overlooking the glittering Hudson River, his phone buzzed. The name on the screen froze him. Twins, his! The heirs to everything he built, and now they were tangled in something dark, something dangerous. Leah's voice cracked over the line. They're in trouble, Ethan! People are after them. People who won't stop for anything. It's bigger than you think. Bigger than us. The chill in her words sent a shiver down Ethan's spine. His hands clenched the phone so tight, his knuckles turned white. Ethan's life exploded. Meetings blurred into chaos. Calls from ruthless rivals, hell-bent on hijacking his empire, mixed with desperate police warnings and whispered betrayals. He could see the headlines forming. Tech giant caught in family scandal. But it wasn't just business. This was blood. His blood. He tried to find Leah, to meet the twins, to grasp what success truly meant now that it came wrapped in cries, fears, and shadows. But just as hope flickered, the twins vanished, gone without a trace, like they'd been swallowed by the city's endless maze. Sirens screamed past his office window. Reporters gathered with flashing cameras. And all Ethan could do was stand there, breath caught, heart pounding, wondering who he could trust. Was Leah really telling the truth? Or was the ruthless rival using her to pull him apart? And most terrifying of all, where were the twins? Ethan faced a brutal choice. Lose the empire he'd fought tooth and nail to build, or lose the family he never thought he'd have. What happens when your entire life is stripped away in a blink? When the people you thought you knew become shadows? Ethan was about to find out. But right now, the city was swallowing his secrets, and the night held its breath. Hey, before we continue with this amazing story, I need to give you an important warning. Many subscribers have reported that YouTube removed their subscriptions without notice. Take a quick look at the red button below to make sure you're still subscribed to the channel. I don't want you to miss any exclusive content that's coming. And since you're here, drop a powerful like. That really helps me with the algorithm. Oh, and let me know in the comments, what city are you watching from? I love getting to know every amazing person who's part of this community. Your participation makes all the difference. Let's interact. Ethan stood there, frozen, heart racing. The city buzzed around him. But all he could hear was Leah's voice echoing in his mind. Words like daggers digging deep. He felt like he was spiraling. Ha 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 ha. Before he could move, The door burst open. His assistant, Mia, raced in, eyes wide, breathless, panic spilling from her. "Ethan, you need to see this." "What's wrong?" His chest tightened. "Something happened. It's about Leah and the twins." She shoved a tablet in his face. On the screen, a grainy video played. It was shaky, but clear enough. Leah, frantically waving her arms, shouting. Then the camera panned, revealing two figures lurking in the shadows, menacing. Eyes glimmering like predators. "No! No!" Ethan gripped the edges of the tablet, a wave of nausea hitting him. His twins, his blood, where were they? And then a siren wailed outside, the sound blending with the chaos in his mind. It was all crumbling. His empire, his past, his family. The school of thoughts he fought to build was drowning in a sea of dread. "Wait," Ethan said, his mind racing faster than his heart. "Who's behind this? Do you know?" Mia hesitated. "I checked. Ethan, this isn't just about business. These people are connected to your old life, the one you left behind." "Old life?" Confusion clouded him. Old friends, old enemies. He couldn't think clearly. "Look," she said softly. "I had to dig deeper. Someone's selling stories about you, your rise, your past, your street life, the drama. And they're citing Leah, Ethan." His stomach dropped. "What do you mean?" "They think she's a key to getting to you. No, she's hiding. She's in trouble." Just then, the lights flickered, plunging the room into a chaotic swirl of darkness. Ethan's heart thundered. Moments later, a loud crashing sound echoed through the building like thunder. "Stay here," he yelled, shoving Mia back as he bolted for the door. The corridor felt cold, like a tomb, darkness wrapping around him. Ethan sprinted to the stairwell, the dim emergency lights flickering. Rushing down, he could hardly breathe. Faces drifted in and out of his consciousness. Familiar ones, strangers. The city felt suffocating. He reached the ground floor, bursting out into the blaring world above. His phone buzzed again. Another message! He skimmed it, dread pooling in his gut. It was from Leah. "Ethan, they have your kids. I made a mistake. I shouldn't have trusted them. Help!" Everything else faded. His empire, the tech giant image, none of it mattered. Leah needed him. His twins needed him. He could feel the world closing in, each step bringing him closer to danger. But as he turned the corner, skidding to a halt, what he saw left him paralyzed. A van, black as night, parked just ahead, and outside, not just any thugs. One of them was someone he thought he'd never see again, his childhood friend, Jason. The face riddled with betrayal, the eyes cold as ice. "Ethan," Jason called out, a smile that looked more like a grimace playing on his lips. "Been a long time." Betrayed and exposed, Ethan's heart sank. Jason was the last person he expected. All the trust shattered. What's going on? Let's just say, family ties can be complicated. He stepped closer, the tension vibrating like a live wire. Ethan's world spun. Jason? Why was he here? What did this mean? The night closed in, and the secrets boiled over. His life, once so clear, was now a jagged mess. With his twins in danger and his past looming large, Ethan's next move would determine everything. And just like that, With the shadows closing in, he was left wondering, who could he really trust? Ethan stared out at the shimmering water, questions spiraling like the city lights. His heart raced, the weight of Leah's words pressing heavily on his chest. The phone felt like a burning ember in his palm as he fought against the panic clawing at him. He needed answers. He needed action. But just then, the door to his penthouse burst open. His assistant, Jenna, stumbled in, her face pale and wide-eyed. "Ethan, you need to see this!" She rushed toward him, holding out a tablet. "What is it?" he demanded, frustration seeping through. The world outside was on fire, and here was yet another distraction. But the urgency in her eyes made him pause. "Just look!" He snatched the tablet, scanning the screen. His breath caught. A live news feed blared across the display. Breaking news! Tech mogul Ethan Marshall's crimes exposed. The camera panned to a nighttime street scene, the glow of sirens flashing in the background. The voice of the reporter cut through the chaos, sharp and accusing. Sources allege that Marshall is involved in illegal dealings with a known crime syndicate linked to the very people threatening his family. His empire built on lies? His heart raced, confusion and betrayal flooding his veins. A slick white-collar crime drama wrapped around his name? This wasn't how it was supposed to go. Who did this? He muttered, his mind swirling. It felt like a trap closing in. "I don't know," Jenna said, her voice trembling. "People are saying it could be someone close, Ethan, someone within your circle." A chill spread through him. Who could it be? He looked at Jenna, their shared history flashing in his mind. A bond forged through late nights and early mornings. But doubt crept in. How could he trust anyone with everything on the line? Suddenly, the office phone rang, slicing through the tension like a knife. He hesitated, the weight of the news still grounding him. "Answer it," he told Jenna. She did, her expression flipping from concern to sheer terror. "Ethan, it's Leah." "What? Put her on." Jenna handed him the phone, her hands trembling. Ethan gripped it tightly, trying to steady himself. "Ethan, listen." Leah's voice was frantic, a breathless whisper. "It's worse than I thought. They know about the twins. They're coming for you too." His gut twisted. "What do you mean? Who are they?" But she hesitated. In that moment of silence, the background sounds broke through. Hollers, panicked voices. "Ethan, there's something I didn't tell you. Something I've been keeping back." His pulse thundered in his ears. "What?" Another pause, thick with anxiety. "The twins, they're not just your kids. You were chosen, and I was too. Ethan, we're part of something bigger. I can't explain everything now, but we need to meet. I can prove it." His heart stopped. "Chosen? By who? Leah?" But the line went dead. The sudden silence, deafening. He looked at Jenna, fear etched across her face. What the hell just happened? And in that instant, the door flew open again, and a figure stepped in. A tall man, dressed in a sleek suit, shadowy and imposing. "Ethan Marshall, you're in deep trouble." Ethan's body went cold. He didn't recognize the man, but the air seemed electric, and he felt every instinct screaming at him to run. But how? Where? The city was closing in. The truth was unraveling. Nothing was as it seemed. Not Leah, not the twins. It's time to face what you've buried, Ethan. The man's eyes burned into his, unyielding, and then it hit him. Everything he thought he knew was just a facade. The empire, the success, the very foundation of who he was, shaking under the weight of secrets. And the chilling realization sank in. The real battle was just beginning. As the stranger advanced, Ethan could only wonder who he could trust and what price he would pay to uncover the truth. Ethan's body went cold. This imposing figure standing in the doorway was not just an intruder. He was a threat. The stranger leaned forward, his eyes locking onto Ethan's with a fierce intensity. You don't want to be in this world, Ethan. You're in way over your head. Ethan felt his heart thud loud against his chest. What do you mean? The man took a step closer, the air thickening with tension. Your past is catching up to you, and it's not just anyone looking for you. It's the people who made you. What? The words slipped out, barely a whisper. His mind raced, piecing together bits of Leah's frantic words and the news on the tablet. Made him? Suddenly, he felt a tremor ripple through the floor. The lights flickered overhead, and Jenna's face blanched even more than it already was. Ethan, what's happening? Before he could respond, the windows exploded outward with a deafening crash. Glass sprayed through the air like shrapnel. A smoke-filled chaos erupted around them. Ethan instinctively shielded Jenna, pulling her close as the world outside erupted into a frenzy. People screamed, "Get down!" The man shouted, lunging toward them. But something inside Ethan sparked to life. He shoved Jenna behind him. "Stay back!" Gunfire erupted outside. The sharp cracks echoed in his ears. He pressed against the wall, heart racing wildly. It was all too much. Through the cloud of confusion, he saw shadows behind the smoke, men rushing toward their building. But who were they? Ethan's mind whirred. And where was Leah? What had she pulled him into? Then, as if the universe wanted to knock him off balance even more, it happened. In the chaos, the man reached into his jacket, revealing a badge, a shield shining like a beacon through the haze. "I'm with the FBI," he shouted, his voice slicing through the panic. "We need to get you out of here." Ethan felt a rush of disbelief. "No, this can't be real." "Believe it! You've been marked!" The agent grabbed Ethan's arm, urgency flooding his voice. "Both Leah and the twins are in deeper danger than you know. You're part of a mess with dirt behind it, and they're coming for your family." Everything felt like it was spinning. "What are you talking about?" Ethan wanted answers, but the urgency drowned out his thoughts. Suddenly, Jenna stiffened beside him. "Wait, is this about what I found?" she gasped, wide-eyed. "I overheard the board. There's talk of corruption in your company, ties to something criminal. Ethan, they're framing you." Oh! The walls felt like they were closing in. Ethan's breath hitched. All those years building his empire, was it only a facade? Were his biggest rivals preparing to bring him down? Just then, the door burst open again. Another figure appeared, this one drenched in darkness. Ethan squinted through the haze, jaw dropping as he recognized the silhouette. It was Jason, his old friend. "Ethan, we have to run! They're after you!" "What? You're part of this?" Jason's face twisted with desperation. "No! I came to help. They're going to take everything from you. from all of us. Who is they? Ethan shouted, despair choking him. Did he have allies or enemies right in front of him? Then, with a sudden burst of clarity, a revelation washed over Ethan. No, it can't be. His voice trailed off. The truth clawed at him, dragging memories to the surface. He felt sick. Betrayal hung in the air like smoke. Suddenly, he understood. The threads of his life were woven with deceit. Leah, Jason, the very empire he built, all of it was tangled in shadows he thought he'd left behind. As chaos enveloped them, he realized everything he knew, everyone he trusted, could be a part of this dangerous game. And now, with sirens wailing and danger closing in, he had to figure out who was a friend and who was the real enemy. How deep did the betrayal run? Who else was hiding a secret? And in the heart of confusion, was there a way to save Leah and the twins? Or was he already too late? The room trembled with uncertainty. Ethan braced himself. Everything was about to change. Ethan stood by the window, gazing out at the city, the weight of uncertainty pressing down on him. Leah's voice echoed in his mind, a haunting melody that refused to fade. Who could he trust? As the sirens wailed, his pulse raced, pulling him back into a world of shadows and fear. Time felt suspended. Suddenly, a loud crash jolted him from his thoughts. The glass of his penthouse shattered, sending shards splintering across the floor. He turned just in time to see a figure tumble through the broken window. A bloodied man, gasping for breath, collapsing by Ethan's feet. Confusion morphed into panic in an instant. Who was this? Heart pounding, Ethan crouched beside him. What happened? Who did this to you? The man's eyes darted around, wild with terror. He reached out, grabbing Ethan's collar, pulling him close. You have to listen. It's about your twins. They're in grave danger, he breathed, blood pooling beneath him. Behind Ethan, alarm bells rang in his head. Twins? What do you mean? Where are they? The man opened his mouth, but the words wouldn't come. Instead, he gasped, clenching Ethan's collar tighter. Leah, she's not who you think. Ethan felt the cold grip of fear. What do you mean? The weight of the man's gaze burned into him. Those kids, they're not yours. They were taken for a reason. Confused and enraged, Ethan shook his head. No, that's impossible. But the man's hand fell limp. The air went still, and for a moment, Ethan was frozen in disbelief. How could that be true? The accusation hung heavy between them, thick with tension. Rushing footsteps thudded behind him, pulling Ethan from his daze. Security burst in, their faces set on high alert. Ethan, we need to secure the area. One of the guards glanced down at the man on the floor, eyes wide. What happened here? Get an ambulanza! Quick! Ethan shouted. The guard pulled out his phone, but Ethan barely noticed. His heart raced, drowning in a sea of questions. If Leah was hiding something, what did it mean for their tangled lives? And what about the twins? His mind raced as flashes of Leah flickered through his memory. Each laugh, each tear, the bond he thought they had. Ethan, the guard's voice broke through. We need you to step back. Ethan barely registered their urgency, caught in a storm of grief, anger, and betrayal. The bloodied man began to shudder, his eyes glazing over. The syndicate. They'll come for you, for her. They're already here. Whew. Ethan's voice cracked, tightening in his throat. Who are they? But in the flicker of his eyes, the man slipped away, fading into lifeless silence. And just like that, another terrifying truth tore through Ethan. His empire wasn't the only thing at stake. His very identity was unraveling. Outside, the city buzzed unaware. The sirens pierced the night as panic surged within him. He was left in the chaos, frantically piecing together new revelations that shattered everything he thought he knew. He had to find Leah. He had to protect the twins, if they were truly his. But as Ethan moved to grab his phone, a shadow shifted in the corner of the room. Eyes wide, he stepped back, dread pooling in his stomach. A figure emerged from the darkness. Familiar. Sinister. The last person he ever expected to see again. Miss me, Ethan? The city swallowed his gasp, and the night clung heavy around him, pulsing with uncertainty as the world he built threatened to collapse. Ethan stood there, heart racing. The city blurred around him. The sirens faded, but the noise inside his head only grew louder. Who was after Leah and the twins? Fear coiled around him, tight and uncomfortable. He needed answers. But just then, a knock shattered the chaos. Ethan turned to see his assistant, Jenna, her face pale and her eyes wide. Ethan, you need to see this. She held her phone as if it were a ticking bomb. He snatched it from her hands, confusion flickering in his chest. The screen showed a news alert. Billionaire Ethan Marshall's family in danger. Raid at secret location. The article showed a picture of Leah, hunched with worry, staring into the camera at an abandoned building. His stomach dropped. They had found her. What is happening, Jenna? His voice was a growl, low and intense. Where was this taken? I don't know, it just popped up, but there's something else. She pressed a button and the video played. It was shaky but clear. Leah, looking scared, pleading with someone off camera. No, they're innocent, please! Her voice trembled, desperation etched into her features. Before he could process the scene, the frame shook and a dark silhouette appeared behind Leah. Ethan's breath hitched. The man loomed, face half-shadowed. Then he spoke words that sent Ethan's world spiraling. You know exactly what happens when you don't follow instructions, Leah. No more games. Ethan's hands trembled. Instructions? What did they mean? The video cut off, leaving Jenna and Ethan in a heavy silence, both breathing hard. He felt the walls of his empire closing in. The twins were caught in a fight between Leah's past and his present, and it was spiraling out of control. Ethan, we can't ignore this. You need to go to the police. No. Fear clawed at him. What if they come for the twins next? I can't risk it. A chill wrapped around him. He gazed out at the Hudson, impossibly beautiful under the city lights, masking the chaos that threatened to swallow him whole. The city was holding its breath. But then Jenna leaned closer, her voice soft but firm. Ethan, what if Leah isn't who you think she is? The question hit him like a punch. He jerked back, confusion swirling. What? What do you mean? She's got secrets. You know that. What if the twins? What if they're part of something bigger? Something dangerous? Her words echoed, dark and haunting. Ethan's mind raced back to their past. Leah was beautiful and complex, but she also had ties he never understood. The streets had shaped her into someone resilient, but haunted. Just then, the power flickered, plunging them into darkness. They were enveloped by silence, the weight of impending disaster hanging heavy. Then, a series of violent crashes echoed through the hallway. The sound of glass shattering. Ethan's heart lurched. "Get down!" He pushed Jenna behind the desk, adrenaline flooding him. He peered towards the sound. Shadows moved, frantic and deliberate. Who the hell? He turned, and cold panic gripped him. In walked a figure. Not a rival businessman or a police officer, but a man he recognized. A face from his past he thought he'd left behind. A dark smile spread across the intruder's face. "Surprise, Ethan! You've been busy." Ethan froze, the twist of betrayal slicing through him like a knife. This man had information. Information about Leah, the twins. Information that could shatter his empire in an instant. "What do you want?" Ethan demanded, voice steady despite the turmoil. "Oh, just a family reunion." The man chuckled ominously, eyes gleaming with malicious delight. "Let's see just how far you'll go to protect what really matters." Ethan's mind spun. Leah, the twins, his past, everything was unraveling. And now, with danger creeping closer, he faced the fight of his life, one that would rip apart everything he thought he knew. The city outside continued to thrum with life, but in that moment, it felt like fate held its breath, waiting for his next move. Ethan stood frozen, the city pulses around him dimmed to a distant hum. Fear crept up his spine like a cold wind. He glanced at his phone. Leah's call had ignited a wildfire of dread, and now it threatened to consume everything he'd built. And there it was again, a looming shadow. The sirens faded into silence. The world seemed to pause, hold its breath. Just beyond the glass walls of his penthouse, New York City thrummed, unaware of the storm brewing in Ethan's heart. He paced, heart hammering against his chest. "What do they want?" he muttered, trying to ground himself. The twins, his flesh and blood, gone. Panic clawed at him, sharp and relentless. Then, a soft knock echoed in the silence. A quick glance at the door. His assistant, Mia, slipped inside, face drawn. "Ethan," she whispered, urgency lining her words. "You need to see this." She held out her tablet, barely meeting his gaze. The screen flashed with a news headline. "Local businessmen found dead. Connection to tech titan unraveled." Ethan, his breath hitched. The name. It was echoed in bold letters, but the face. It was familiar. Wait, is that? The color drained from Ethan's cheeks as recognition washed over him. It was Harris. A former mentor, a man who'd once guided his every step. The article spoke of betrayal, of untold secrets ready to surface, and a bitter life that spiraled into tragic darkness. What had Harris been involved in? Mia leaned in, eyes wide with disbelief. They're saying he had ties to something big in the underground. Drugs, smuggling, but we know it was more than that. Ethan's mind raced. Did Harris know about Leah? The twins? Had he been tangled in the web the city had spun? Memories flooded back like a tidal wave. The late-night talks, the advice that felt almost prophetic, the way he'd warned Ethan to cut ties before it was too late. "Where is it coming from?" Ethan demanded, his voice sharp as glass. "Why now?" He could feel the panic twisting in his gut as Mia swiped through more articles. Then she stilled, eyes locking onto the screen. "Ethan, look!" A video began to play. A shaky, raw recording. Two young children, Leah's twins, wide-eyed and terrified, surrounded by unfamiliar faces. The camera zoomed in on a man standing behind them, a glint of something dangerous in his eyes. Ethan's stomach dropped. It was a face he recognized. Victor, a rival he thought he'd buried long ago in the ashes of his own rise. "Leah's not safe," Ethan breathed, the weight of the world crashing down on him. Victor had found a way in, using Leah as bait. The pieces were falling together too fast. "They're using her to draw me out." Suddenly, the ground beneath him shifted. The walls felt like they were closing in, suffocating him. Every doubt, every question he'd ever asked about his choices loomed large. Was this all for nothing? The empire, the wealth, what had it brought him? A family, perhaps, but at what cost? And then, without warning, the room lit up with a blinding light. The floor trembled as an explosion rocked the building. The windows shattered, sending shards of glass spiraling. Silence shattered. Ethan fell, gasping for breath in the chaos. Smoke billowed like a dark cloud, wrapping around him. Shouts erupted. Chaos engulfed the penthouse. As he fought to push through the haze, one piercing thought cut through. Leah's voice echoed in his mind, frantic and desperate. "It's bigger than us!" In that moment, everything shifted. Ethan's empire wasn't just at stake. It was his life, his emerging family, everything he held dear. What had he stepped into? What darkness had he stirred? The night was alive with uncertainty breathing down his neck. Ethan had to survive. He had to save Leah and the twins, no matter the cost. But as he stumbled toward the exit, doubts gnawed at him. Was his pursuit of success about to cost him everything he loved? The answers waited just beyond the flames. Ethan stumbled backward, the chaos swirling around him like a storm. The explosion's force rattled his bones and pulled him back to the present. Smoke billowed, choking him. His hand clasped the desk tightly, fighting panic. He had to move. He darted toward the door, determined to escape the smoldering chaos and find Leah. Outside, the hall was a nightmare. People rushed past him, yelling, confusion erupting in every corner. He hesitated, scanning for any sign of Mia, but the faces were all blurs. With each pounding heartbeat, the urgency grew. He had to save Leah. He had to get to the twins before it was too late. Suddenly, his phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He fished it out, not expecting the name that flashed on the screen. Leah. Every emotion hit him like a tidal wave. He answered, voice hoarse. "Leah, where are you?" "Ethan, I don't have much time." Her breaths were fast. "You need to listen. I know who's behind all this, and it's worse than you think. Ethan felt his stomach drop. What do you mean worse? Just tell me. They've been watching you. Waiting. And there's something I haven't told you. What? What are you talking about? Silence fell heavy over the line, the tension almost unbearable. Then Leah's voice cracked. Ethan, I'm not who you think I am. I'm part of this too. And the twins, they're not just caught in the conflict. What? You have to explain. Panic surged through him like a current. They're part of a deeper scheme. My past. It's coming back to haunt us both. I didn't want you dragged into it. Ethan's heart pounded in his ears. He felt the walls closing in. What did you do, Leah? Please, just tell me. You have to find the truth. It's been hidden for too long. Before he could respond, the line went dead. Boom, 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 boom. A knot twisted inside him, panic clawing at his throat. Just then, a shadow loomed behind him. He whipped around, fist raised, ready to fight. It was Jason. Ethan, we have to go! His voice sliced through Ethan's panic. They're onto us. Who's onto us? Ethan shouted. But Jason grabbed his arm. Urgency fierce. Not now! We need to move! In that moment of chaos, the lights flickered. Another explosion rocked the building, and Ethan was thrown off his feet. He landed hard against the cold ground, struggling against the haze of pain and confusion. All he could hear was the roar of the falling debris. But then, amidst the rumble, a familiar voice rose above the noise. A voice that pierced through Ethan's fear. Ethan! He turned, eyes wide. There was Leah, stumbling into the chaos, breathless and terrified. Her eyes darted, searching for him. Relief flooded his system. But when she got closer, he noticed it. The patches of red on her clothes, the fear in her eyes. Leah! He rushed to her, panic spreading anew. What happened? Are you hurt? No time. She grabbed his arm, eyes wild. We need to go. Victor knows. Ethan's heart raced. What about the twins? But just then, the ground shook again, and a figure emerged from the smoke, a shadowy presence that froze him in his tracks. The man from the video, Victor. His demeanor was confident, almost casual in the chaos. Looking for these? Victor taunted, holding something up. The twins' toys ruined. No! Ethan lunged, but Leah held him back. Listen, Ethan! It's a trap! She shouted, the weight of her words sinking in. Victor is planning to frame you. It's all connected. Just then, Victor spoke, his voice smooth and calculated. You can't save them, Ethan. They're already ensnared, just like you. And that's when reality shattered. Leah turned to Victor, a look of understanding passing between them, a look of betrayal. I had no choice, she yelled, fear pooling in her voice. Ethan's breath caught in his throat. What? Leah, what's happening? Victor smiled, a cold glimmer in his eyes. Oh, she knows all about the family business, Ethan. She just neglected to tell you. Didn't you think it was strange, the broken pasts you two shared? The twins? They're part of this entire play. Ethan felt dizzy, reeling from the revelation. Family? Business? What had Leah hidden? Suddenly, a thought struck him like lightning. Leah, you're not involved, right? This can't be true. Breathless silence stretched between them. But Leah stepped forward, eyes wide and pleading. I just wanted to protect you, protect them. Ethan's heart sank. He stood there, grappling with the disaster unfolding around him. The truth was unraveling like fragile thread, weaving betrayal, lies, and danger into their lives. Leah wasn't just a victim, she was tangled in the very fabric of deception. Everything he knew was a lie. The weight of her silent truth came crashing down. Leah, how could you? Victor laughed softly, a chilling sound. Now, Ethan, now you see the stakes. You thought you could build a life on ruins? But you're with someone who never left them. As everything crashed around him, Ethan felt a shift, a wedge forming between what he thought he'd known and the truth laid bare. Who was he really protecting in this chaotic mess of shattered dreams? And what now? Run! Leah screamed. The moment locked into place, but all Ethan could do was stand, frozen, caught between truths and lies, heart pounding in desperation. The night loomed heavy, waiting for his next move, impossibly crucial. He had to decide. Before everything he held close slipped through his fingers, lost forever. And he had to wonder, who was the real enemy? Ethan stood there, disbelief washing over him like a tidal wave. Leah, the woman he thought he knew, was deeper in this mess than he ever imagined. Victor's twisted smile only fueled his rage. Where are the twins? He shouted, every inch of him screaming to tear Victor apart. Afraid you'll never find them, Victor taunted, glancing over his shoulder to the chaos outside. Time is running out, Ethan. The ground felt unsteady underneath Ethan, his world tilting. He could see Leah, her eyes darting between them, her expression shifting from fear to something darker, something that stung at his heart. Ethan, she said, they're here too. You have to. But before she could finish, the door splintered open and another figure rushed in. It was Mia! But something was off. The wild look in her eyes, panic etched on her face. Ethan, you have to come with me. Now! What? He barked, frustration bubbling. What do you know? Her voice was frantic, breathless. It's the police! They're coming! They're not here to help you. What? Confusión rípulo dentro de él. ¿Por qué la policía? Pero luego todo se estaba inavesando. Algo alrededor, ¿por qué lo ha ocurrido? Sentía una dura realidad en su mente. Es como acaba de sentir que es el mal país. Víctor le habla con un gruñento, lleno de luces que se ven como si van de vida. Heart racing, a siluetes abierto de la haze, shapes ready to pounce. Then a voice boomed through the chaos. Ethan Marshall, you're under arrest. The word hung heavy in the air. What? Ethan's voice was barely a whisper, betrayal slicing through him. The officers emerged, guns drawn, aimed at him. No! He stepped back, confusion giving way to panic. I haven't done anything! But the officers advanced, and Leah screamed. Ethan, run! Please! He turned, adrenaline flooding his veins. But the door was behind him, blocked. The thrumming of chaos filled the room. He saw Jason, wide-eyed, desperate. You can't trust anyone, he yelled at Ethan, feebly fighting against the chaos closing in. As officers moved forward, Ethan would not go quietly. You have to listen to me. I'm innocent. He tried to push past, but a firm hand caught his arm. It was the officer, and he felt cold metal against his skin. Not this time, Marshall. You're coming with us. But as Ethan struggled, he glanced back at Leah, horror spilling over her features. "Ethan, don't! You can't go out like this! It's all part of a game!" Before he could move in response, the lights flickered again, revealing a shocking sight. Victor, stepping into the doorway, held a small device, a detonator. "Surprise!" he shouted, delight dancing in his eyes. The color drained from Ethan's face, the room spinning into chaos and darkness. What? In that moment, without hesitation, Leah pushed Victor aside, lunged for the device. "No!" she screamed, but Victor's laughter filled the space, wild and manic. Then, a deafening explosion ripped through the penthouse. Walls shook, fragments of glass flew like daggers, and screams filled the air, everything enveloped in chaos. When the dust settled, silence swallowed the space. Ethan blinked, his heart beating like a drum in his chest. He felt disoriented, the world around him blurred and chaotic. But then he turned back toward the rubble, and his breath caught in his throat. Leah lay on the ground, blood pooling beneath her, eyes wide, lifeless. "Leah!" He rushed to her side, panic gripping him. It felt like ice encased his heart. "No!" And just like that, he felt like his world shattered, but truth ripped through him. Leah was part of this treachery, and now she was gone. Everything changed in that moment. Was it all a setup? Had he been made a fool? Ethan was left grappling with the unbearable weight of loss and betrayal. The life he thought he knew, erased in a blink. But amidst the rubble, a small metallic glint caught his eye. A pendant, one Leah always wore. Bending down, he snatched it up, trembling hands shaking. Maybe, just maybe, it held the answers he needed to unravel everything. But as he looked back at the chaos, the question loomed. What would he do next? Ethan's heart pounded, the world narrowing to the cold metal of Leah's pendant in his hand. Smoke swirled around them, shadows of disbelief and betrayal hanging in the air. This can't be it, he thought. But even as he clutched the pendant, agony pulsated through him. Before his mind could race further, he heard sirens blaring in the distance. The faint echo of police radios reverberated as more officers flooded the penthouse. They swarmed like bees, creating chaos amidst the collapse. "Get him!" A shout rang out, and Ethan recognized the authority behind it. They were coming for him, again. "Ethan, we need to go!" Mia yelled, yanking him toward the nearest exit. Time was slipping through his fingers like sand, but he felt the shards of Leah's betrayal slicing into him, each step heavy and soaked with grief. "Welt!" he shouted, shaking off Mia's grasp. He turned back toward Leah, who was still unfurling on the floor. "I can't leave her!" The ghostly form of Leah seemed to linger, a shadow belonging to a different life. Mia pulled him back as officers poured into the hall. "This isn't the time! You have to survive!" "No!" Ethan shouted, desperation clawing at his throat. All those twisted family ties, those secrets, he had to know. But buried pain rose like bile. How could he choose survival over the fate of the twins? They were his heart. "Ethan!" Jason, stepping through the wreckage, face pale, eyes wide with panic. "You're being framed. Victor won't stop. I have to find my kids!" Suddenly, a loud crack hit the air. It pierced through the chaos like a gunshot. Everyone froze. Then came the sound of whispers, the kind that made the hairs on his neck stand. Victor's men were drawing near. "Time's running out," Jason urged. "We need to tell the police the truth, Ethan. The weight of his choices crushed him. Side with the law or fight against an enemy he barely understood? But against all odds, he felt the power of Leah's pendant in his grip. Answers could be buried inside. He had no choice but to unravel it. "Over here!" a voice shouted, echoing through the dusty haze. Ethan could see shadows breaking through the doorway. Victor's goons. "Run!" Mia shouted, urgency spilling from her voice. With every ounce of what was left, Ethan turned. They sprinted through the halls, pushing past terrified onlookers. He could feel the weight of despair, but vision flared with determination. They had to expose the truth. They burst down the fire escape, landing on the street below. People hurried away from the chaos behind them, eyes wide with disbelief. Ethan fell to his knees, gasping for breath. "We need to regroup," Jason said, looking around. "We need a plan." But for Ethan, everything blurred. Leah lay somewhere in darkness, a fading light in his memory. The sound of sirens closed in, and suddenly, despair weighed heavier than he'd ever known. "Tell me she's safe," he choked out, desperation hanging in the air like a thick fog. "I don't know," Jason started, but then a voice cut through the chaos. "Mommy!" Ethan's heart dropped. He turned, eyes wide. There were the twins, staring with confused and terrified faces, drenched in exhaustion. In that fleeting moment, everything else faded. Before he could react, Leah appeared, emerging from the shadows. Disheveled and breathless, she rushed to them. Oh my God. She scooped the twins up in her arms, squeezing them tightly. Ethan stumbled forward, emotions crashing over him like waves. "Leah, you came." Her eyes locked onto his. The weight of their history hung heavily in the silence. "I made a mistake. I was trying to protect you. We have to tell the kids the truth." Siren lights flashed, illuminating the night. Right then and there, he felt a flicker of hope amidst the despair. But the future remained uncertain. They had survived together. Now what? As they stood there, uncertainty in their eyes, the world spun with possibilities. They faced the night, hands intertwined. The shadows still loomed large, daring them to uncover the depths of the truth waiting just beyond the dawn. Before they could ponder further, the city's lights flickered back to life, and in that moment, they felt a fragile bond form, unbreakable in its own way. Ethan gazed into Leah's eyes, determination igniting in his chest. Whatever came next, they would face it together. But the echoes of that explosive night lingered like a storm on the horizon. And now, as dawn broke, the shadows would rise again. Now is the time for you to show your support. Subscribe immediately to ensure you don't miss the next chapter of Ethan's story. Smash that like button now to feed the algorithm and show everyone this exciting saga. Flood the comments with your reactions and theories. What do you think will happen next? Let's gather our community. And don't wait even a second longer to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to catch up on this intense roller coaster. Let's make S